Okay, the first one, given that these triangles are congruent, name the corresponding sides and the corresponding angles. So sides are segments. So the sides that correspond you can get right from the congruent statement. You don't even have to look at the triangles. So RS is congruent to XY. Put segment bars, comma. ST, the segment, is congruent to YZ. And then RT, the other combination, the segment, is congruent to XZ, the segment. And then the angles are R matches up with R with X, because they're both the first one. The middle ones are angle S is congruent to angle Y, and the last ones is angle T is congruent to angle Z. Now knowing that it says find XY, so XY corresponds with the length RS. So here's the length of RS. So XY, the length, also has to be 6 inches. So the answer is 6 inches. Then number 1, name the use the fact that ABCD is congruent to EFGH. Name the corresponding sides and corresponding angles. So because these are 4 sides, you're going to have 4 pairs of segments that are congruent, 4 pairs of angles that are congruent. So you can do that on your own. And then angle 2, find the unknown angle measures. So if angle B right here matches up with angle F, so the measure of angle B has to equal 75 degrees. A is the first letter, matches up with E, so the measure of angle A has to be 90 degrees. And then G over here is the third letter, so it matches with C, so the measure of angle G has to be 135 degrees. And then H right here is the last letter, matches up with D, the last letter over here, so the measure of angle H has to equal 60 degrees. And then number 4 lists 3 pairs of congruent sides. So CA is congruent to JS. Second set, AT-SD. AT is congruent to SD. Third set, first and third letters, CT is congruent to JD. And then name 3 pairs of angles that are congruent. So angle C is congruent to angle J. Angle A is congruent to angle S. And angle T is congruent to angle D. Those are my 3 angles. Okay, are these triangles congruent? If so, write which triangle congruence postulate or theorem and give the triangle congruence statement. So the triangle congruence statement is saying this triangle is congruent to this triangle. So the first one, I'm always looking for vertical angles and sides that are the same reflexive. So these two, BD is congruent to BD by reflexive. So I have enough to say that the triangles are congruent because of side, angle, side. So triangle ABD is congruent to triangle. Now A matches up with C. So it's C, B, angle is B angle right here, B, and then D. This is by side, angle, side. And then number 2, I only have 2 sides. I can't figure out the third side, so I can't do side, side, side. There's no angles that I show, so there is nothing. So I better know. Number 3, I have 2 sides and an angle, but this angle is not included. See, these 2 sides, there's not an angle included in between. So again, this is nothing. And then number 4, we have 2 tick marks, 2 tick marks, 3 tick marks, 3, and 1. So this is side, side, side. So the 2 triangles are congruent side by side, side, side. So I start with the first one and do triangle TSU is congruent to Now T is where one tick and two ticks come together. So where one tick and two ticks come together is X on the other side. S is where two ticks and three ticks come together. So two ticks and three ticks come together at V. And the last letter has to be W. So be really careful with how you write these congruent statements. And then number 5, I can mark reflexive. But that's the only, this is an angle that's 90. There's an angle and a side. We don't have a theorem for that, so I write no. And then this one I have side, angle, side. One tick, angle, two ticks. So yes, they are congruent by side, angle, side. So I write triangle CDE is congruent to. So C has one tick on it, so that's F. D is a 90-degree angle, which is G on the other angle. And then E is where the two tick is, so that's H. And then number 7, I could put these two are congruent by reflexive. And I have another side, angle, side. So I write the first red triangle is triangle KMJ is congruent to triangle. Now K has the angle mark, so M has the main angle mark right here. M on the first triangle does not have the angle mark, so that's going to be K down here. So K and M kind of flip-flop, and then J is opposite L. And then 8, I can put these by reflexive, so by side, 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 triangle PRN is congruent to triangle PRQ. In this one I have two angles. So I have side, side, angle. The angle is not included in between. I marked the angles because they are vertical angles. These two are not congruent. We don't have a side, side angle. So I write no or nothing. So the congruent statements that we have are side, angle, side, 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 angle, side, angle, and angle, angle, side. Okay, for this proof I already wrote in the given, so now I'm going to go mark each one of mine. So it is already marked. EF is congruent to FG. DF is congruent to FH. So the second thing I can say is I can see that these are vertical angles. So I don't want to say angle F is congruent to angle F by vertical angle theorem. I want to specify what angle F is. So angle DFE is congruent to angle HFG by the vertical angle theorem. So this is enough already. I have a side angle side situation. So I'm going to copy this down. Triangle DFE is congruent to triangle HFG by side angle side. I don't have much space, so I just was lazy and I wrote my arrow down. And my angles inside are already marked. So the next thing I can do is I have these two angles are congruent. So I'm going to write angle PLM is congruent to angle JLK by the vertical angle theorem. So I have an angle side angle situation. See how the side is included between the two angles for both triangles? So I have enough to already prove my triangles are congruent. So I do triangle JKL is congruent to triangle PML by side angle side. And the second one I already wrote my givens and they're marked. And the last thing I can say is, or the next thing I can say is RT is congruent to RT by reflexive. So looking at my triangle, I have enough angle, angle, side, angle, angle, side. The side is not included, so that's why I'm using angle, angle, side. So it's triangle QRT is congruent to triangle STR by angle, angle, side. Okay, and then down here, what else must you know to prove the triangles are congruent? So if we have angle, side, angle, we have two angles right here. Now the side needs to be between the two angles. So the side needs to be right here and right here. So we need to know that BC is congruent to EF. Then we can use angle, side, angle. And the number 13, we need an angle, angle, side. So you can go two ways. I could have to know that these two angles are congruent, because that would be angle, angle, side, angle, angle, side. Or I have to know that these two angles are congruent, because that would still give me angle, angle, side going the other way. So we either have to know that angle J, I'm doing the blue one, angle JHK is congruent to angle HKG, or I'm going to do the red one, angle KGH is congruent to angle HJK. Either one of those. And the last one, angle, side, angle. Well, I can already mark that these two are congruent by vertical angles. Now, in order for it to be angle, side, angle, the side needs to be included in between. So I need to know that these two blue segments are congruent. So I need to know that MN is congruent to NQ.